more I'm gonna kick your ass, even though she was the. No, that's true.
Hello, everyone, and welcome one more time to Ring Royalty. We have a new crown, we have a new section, but this time we have someone that was here like a month ago. A YouTuber herself once again from Canada, Alex Ann. One more time, we want to know, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm nervous about this new section, to be honest.
Yeah, me too. But it's going to be fun, a challenge. I like it, so.
We're going to start a new series or a new saga, whatever you want to call it.
Section? Segment?
Okay, segment, we could go with that.
I don't know.
Alright, the name is going to be Best Rivalries in Women's Wrestling, and we're going to go through the years and talk about the good ones. Remember that, the good ones, the good storylines that all of women's wrestling had over the years. Some of them, of course, are very popular, others are very underrated, but that doesn't mean they were not good, right?
Now I'm excited to see if people would agree with us, what they think, or if it's just us that enjoy them. We'll see.
We're trying to give as much variety as we can, so we are choosing like different years. Soon we will even include another companies maybe, so check that. And we're going to start.
The one that stood out the most to me, I think a lot of people would agree, would be Trish versus Lita, which I think is one, if not the greatest woman wrestling feud ever, perhaps.
Okay, I could agree with that.
Storyline wise and wrestling wise too, very strong on both parts. I mean, with their, I'm not sure the years, around 2004, the main event of Raw, and
Okay, so that's my favorite one from them too.
it was when Trish was a heel, I believe.
Trish was the heel and Lita was the baby face coming out of like a pregnancy storyline with Kane. She lost the baby, but throughout all of her pregnancy, Trish Stratus was mocking her non-stop. And basically, she got what she's coming after Lita lost the baby. Highlights of this rivalry, for me, I really enjoyed the Survivor Series match, which wasn't like a match, it was a brawl. Lita just came in, destroyed Trish Stratus, got disqualified, and then destroyed her with a chair. And Trish Stratus, kayfabe, broke her nose. Of course, it looked fake, but I mean, it added to the feel of this rivalry, like the hatred between these two superstars.
Yeah, and I think it had it to the Trish Eel character too, with the fake plastic mask or whatever it was.
Yeah, she used that in the main event of Raw as a weapon, right?
Yeah.
But the thing that I feel sad about when we talk about this feud is the way it couldn't end in what was supposed to be because of Lita's knee injury.
Yeah, that's a shame that Trish was injured. I'm curious to see where it could have went beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were main event in Raw. Was it going to be a pay-per-view next, or not? I mean, we're probably never going to find out. So.
What I heard, you can watch it over here in another video that is Cancelled Storylines #1. The plan was supposed to be that Lita retained at New Year's Revolution, which was the pay-per-view that she got injured in. And then they were supposed to continue their feud until WrestleMania 21, where they were going to fight for the Women's Championship in a stipulation match. It was probably going to be like a street fight or a Falls Count Anywhere match.
Yeah, probably at the time it was most likely that for the woman, nothing big as they do now, I guess.
This was the only time I believe WWE actually planned to have Lita as a long-term champion, but sadly it never happened because of the injury.
Yeah, that's true. That's a shame that she never got a long reign. She's deserving of having long ones, but I mean, it's WWE, so.
What's your highlight of the feud?
It's probably the Raw main event match. That's the one that I remember the most. And it was a very strong match. Probably one of my favorite from them too. I would have liked to see if what you said was true with the stipulation match, maybe a more like not extreme rules because I don't think they were doing that, but felt kind of like they were a more brutal street fight, something
Okay.
more aggressive from both of them. I think that could have been a nice touch to the feud that was already very strong. So.
It could have been also kind of like the end of the feud, maybe, if they were going different directions after that, because you always have the taste that it was like something incomplete.
Yeah.
So the second feud we're going to talk about is going to be from 2007, and the fans enjoyed it, but it wasn't as popular, and I'm talking about Candice Michelle against Beth Phoenix.
Yeah, I think that's an underrated feud because they were stronger character, maybe Melina, Mickie James. I think Candice is someone that's so underrated to me. I feel like she doesn't get the credit she deserves.
During that time, I think you're right. Everybody saw Candice Michelle as an eye candy. So Beth was newer. She just like was reintroduced in the division. So I think nobody cared about the feud because you had like the new girl with the champion that you see just as a model. So maybe they didn't take the importance that some other people did.
Yeah, I feel like they didn't take maybe Candice seriously because like Beth was the dominant, destroying everybody heel, and Candice was like you said, the pretty girl that took maybe from that feud. But it was, I watched their match again and they had three very strong matches.
Beth Phoenix won the #1 contendership in a Battle Royal at SummerSlam. And after that, I think every week she started to destroy all the Raw Divas until she got her title match. The Unforgiven match for me was the best. It was not a back and forth match, but I think that was the best Beth has ever looked when it comes to dominance because she women handled Candice Michelle like for about 10 minutes.
The one she won, Unforgiven, she lost at No Mercy. Yeah, because that was surprising. Everybody, I'm guessing, expected her to lose.
Yeah, and it was also nice the fact that when she lost the title at No Mercy, the match was more even because Candice had way more offense in the No Mercy match, even if she lost. So it was nice that maybe Candice was reaching the level of Beth, like when it comes to storytelling. They were trying to say like Candice was getting used to being in the ring with Beth.
Like I said, I think Candice is very underrated, and she showcased in that match in the 2 out of 3 that she could wrestle. I mean, that was a good match. It's such a shame she got injured halfway through, I'm guessing somewhere halfway through the match, because she was killing it, Candice. She was more aggressive. Yeah,
so it was such a shame because it looked like they had plans for the feud to continue. I would say, even if some people don't agree, that injury, even if it was an accident, killed Candice's career.
Yeah, and when she came back and they restarted kind of the feud, she got injured again.
All right, so highlight for you of this rivalry.
I think I would go with the No Mercy match.
Okay.
I think they both had the chance to shine, so
I would go with the Unforgiven match because even if it was basically a one-sided match, I think it provided the shocker that Candice won. That got me invested in the rest of the feud.
Third one would be AJ versus Kaitlyn, which I would say is kind of an underrated feud too, compared to most AJ storylines, perhaps.
Yeah, that's true.
But it was still AJ's best storyline to me.
For me too.
Don't remember it being very long feud either.
Yeah, but I would say it was long. It was very long actually, but people don't really remember that much because the first 2 months of the feud they were going with the secret admirer angle when Kaitlyn was receiving gifts and cards and everything, and AJ just like appear backstage or trying to tease her who would be like an admirer of Kaitlyn.
It was a transition when she was becoming ill-ish crazy, AJ. And the secret admirer stuff. That was weird though.
I get what they tried to do, but I think the execution could have been a little bit better. However, it didn't take away anything from the feud because once AJ got into the ring, things started to go like way better because they had 3 matches in 3 pay-per-views. They had the payback match when AJ took the title from Kaitlyn. Then they had the Money in the Bank match, which AJ retained, but it wasn't that great to be honest. And then they had the mixed tag match at SummerSlam with AJ and Big E face Kaitlyn and Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah, that was a good feud. Wrestling-wise, it was good too. They're both great. I think Kaitlyn is another one that doesn't get enough credit for what she could do in the ring. Can put on amazing matches in 2 minutes.
That's true. And I think the fact that AJ was now introduced into the women's division because AJ Lee was basically in story angles with men like Daniel Bryan, CM Punk. So she was reintroduced, and after those main event storylines, people already care about AJ. So she brought the attention back to the division when she became the #1 contender in another Battle Royal.
We took her more seriously, perhaps, because they built her so well.
The fact that this feud was long, but it never really felt like it had an end, kind of pisses me off. Because I remember that the final match was the mixed tag, which Kaitlyn and Ziggler won. But after that, Kaitlyn disappeared from TV for like weeks because they had AJ do the pipe bomb thing against the Total Divas the night after.
Yeah, well, again, that's WWE for you.
Let's go with the highlights. What is your highlight of this rivalry?
It wasn't one specific moment. I would say the storytelling in itself was more the entire thing.
I'm gonna choose actually not a match. I'm gonna choose like a segment kinda when AJ dressed as Kaitlyn and Kaitlyn dressed as AJ. It was well done. It didn't look forced because like you said, the storytelling was so good. And also another highlight besides the feud more wrestling wise would be the way AJ sells the spear.
Yeah, she's one of the probably the best spear woman seller. Easily selling in general, I mean.
So the next feud we're going to talk about is something way more recent. The birth of the man, Becky Lynch against Charlotte Flair. Your favorite, Charlotte Flair.
My favorite, oh my god. I'm so excited to talk about her. Yeah, no, I mean, and I hate Charlotte as a character, but as a wrestler, I cannot say she's bad. She's good, and they both had killer matches. I'm glad she didn't win in the end. That I'm gonna say that much.
It started at SummerSlam when Charlotte was added to the SmackDown Women's title match between Carmella and Becky Lynch.
You're telling me Charlotte get a title opportunity she didn't deserve? Oh my god, I'm so shocked.
Like they made Charlotte win the match, but when I saw why they did it, I was kind of like happy or satisfied at least.
Yeah, I mean, if Becky would have won, I don't think it would have been that much as a great storyline as it was.
And then they moved to have a match at Hell in a Cell, which was the next pay-per-view, where Becky won the title with kind of like a roll-up. But Becky's character during this feud, it was literally fire. All the promos, and the fact that she was the heel, but she was the one being cheered on, the one getting the support from the fans, was something we haven't seen in a while, maybe since AJ left.
Yeah, I don't remember either that got that reaction from them. I don't remember anybody, and I don't think there was going to be for a while again, perhaps. I think to me, that's when I started to take Becky more seriously as a wrestler. In NXT, she was just Sasha's sidekick, and then with her first title reign, I mean, she was the face of SmackDown, but she didn't have any like flavor to her, I guess. And that was weird. So that's when I think she shined and breakthrough on the scene more, perhaps, and that she became equal, I would say, to what Sasha and Charlotte were doing. That people start seeing her at the same level, perhaps.
True, even if a couple matches were good, but they didn't have like a real end, and everything was so smoothly until they had the last women's standing match at Evolution, who was the first ever women's pay-per-view. So this has to be one of my favorite feuds, to be honest. Maybe it lasted a bit too long, unlike the others. It was like very long because they dragged it until WrestleMania when they added Ronda Rousey.
I would agree too. I mean, they had killer matches, like you said, maybe a little too long, but yeah, I'm gonna keep my opinion on Charlotte again.
What's your highlight of this feud?
I think I would go with the Evolution match. Like I said, they were both killing it. It was more aggressive from both women.
Would you agree with me that Becky and Charlotte should have main evented Evolution?
Oh, easily.
My highlight, the TLC match. When they mixed things up with Asuka, the Evolution match was killer, like you said, but the TLC match was also one of the best matches I've seen, especially triple threats. What is our final feud of today's video?
Our final feud is, and I think is still the best NXT feud, it will be Bayley versus Sasha from 2015, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
The two matches they had, they were amazing. Still some of the best wrestling matches all time, probably.
The fact that this feud was just made to transition Charlotte, Becky, and Sasha out of NXT, it's so incredible that they did all of that by just trying to, let go of 3 women.
Yeah, and I think that elevated Bayley because she was more in the shadow of the other 3, perhaps, and that brought her to be the next face of NXT when they left.
That feud not only helped Bayley become the face of NXT, but it also made the crowd be so into Bayley. If people don't remember, Bayley was even more popular than most men wrestlers back in NXT in that time. Like, if you look at the crowd, everyone, men, women of different ages, even children especially, they had Bayley merch on, the shirts, the ponytails, or the whatever that's called. So I mean, she was massive.
Yeah, that made her, I think that made her a star.
What's your highlight of the rivalry?
I would say their first match. I don't remember which NXT takeover one, not the Iron Woman one.
It was the takeover Brooklyn.
Yeah, so that one, I mean, the Iron Woman match was amazing, but I think the other one was, to me, better. Bayley winning the title finally.
The fact that they are both at the same level, and one was an Iron Women match and the other was a regular match, means that the regular match was so good and people were so into it that they didn't need a stipulation to shine.
Yeah, do you think this is more the character? Because wrestling-wise, like you said, they were probably on the same level, but like the build-up to it, more the underdog versus the champion.
Maybe
the underdog winning at the end.
Well, that's a good formula. It worked like 1,000 times in the past, but there was just something about Bayley, because sometimes they try to build like a superstar as an underdog when they don't really look like an underdog, but Bayley was like the ultimate underdog. My highlight of this rivalry is going to be like a small little moment, like out of 5 seconds. It was during the Iron Women match when Sasha Banks took Izzy's bow, like the Bayley's biggest fan, the kid, and started to mock her, a mockery out of the girl crying, and everybody in the crowd like exploded. They erupted because there wasn't a heel like that, especially on the women's side back then.
Yeah, and I mean, it's little things like that sometimes that have to be that much that make them so good.
And the last match, the Iron Women match, solidified Bayley as a star, because even when she won a takeover Brooklyn, like Bayley and Sasha, probably Bayley just raised to the same level as Sasha Banks, but there was not something like she surpassed her to be like the top of the NXT Women's Division until the Iron Women match, when she solidified her spot as the face of NXT. Alright, so this is it for the first video of best rivalries in women's wrestling. I would really love to hear your comments about all of these feuds, our highlights and everything, because we're planning to do this probably monthly. So it would be awesome to see if this type of content is what you want to see, right?
Right, yeah, that would be, I love hearing what they have to say to see if they agree with us or not.
Once again, where can people find you? Because I'm gonna leave the link in the description, and over here, the YouTube channel. Remember, her content's great, so go check it out.
Yeah, so I have my YouTube channel mostly, is where you can find me, mostly videos perhaps, and my face on screen, but I mean, we never know, so.
So that would be it for today's video. So remember, every time you see this silver crown, because that's gonna be especially for this section, and Alex Ann's gonna be like the special guest in this section too. She's gonna be here for a while probably. So that's great, and I will see you guys next week. Thank you very much and stay safe.